Okay, so the way this works is that this gets like secret broadcast on YouTube, and then I pull it from there, and then I'll put the video private so people can't see the video, and then we'll just put it in the regular audio. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
So I'm just gonna start.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So we have a special interview for this little segment of the podcast. We have a local promoter and wrestler here to talk about their company and why you should check them out. We talked about them a little bit last week because I went there for my birthday and had a very good time. So please welcome to the podcast, DDS.
Hi, welcome.
Hey, hello. Good to be here.
So I kind of found Kaiju just kind of through Twitter and having people kind of post it, local show, and it was so close and convenient that I thought, hey, why the hell not? And I had a really good time. Can you kind of just talk about the origin of Kaiju and kind of how it came about?
Yeah, actually, I used to run an old company about just over 10 years ago called Midwestern States Pro Wrestling. And I got out of the wrestling business completely in 2007. And Mike Matthews dragged me back in about 4 years ago. And over the last couple of years, I was just kind of like, there's something missing. Like, there's just missed opportunities. There's just dumb booking. There's just promoters like just don't know what they're doing, basically. And it's not, I'm not, going to point anybody out. It's just, I just saw there's people weren't doing enough to promote their product. So when I left Underground back in, this would have been February or March, I was kind of like, I think I'm going to start running my own stuff because I think it's time. And I kind of wanted to do something totally different than nobody else is doing in the scene, like, especially in this area. So I started like looking out for venues I could run, and then I started looking for like weird venues. Like, and one of the venues I found was Wire over in Berwyn. That's where we ended up having our first show. But I wanted something different. I wanted more interaction with the crowd. I didn't, our first few shows over at Wire, like at Wire, we don't have any seating, except for like one little section. There's seating on one side, but we don't have seating around the ring. So people are actually standing around the ring. So it gets more involvement into each match because people aren't just sitting there bored. And then we found Den, which is another weird venue. And as the company's gone on, like, I always wanted to be like more progressive. I wanted to, give women a chance if they were wrestling, a guy. They have an equal chance to win a match against a guy. I wanted to be weird, over the top. We didn't plan on doing the monsters. Actually, that didn't come about until about December. I had a lot of people ask about the monsters if we would ever do a match like that, and I was like, you know what, let's do one. And it ended up being a big hit. So we've done the monsters now 2 shows in a row, and they're going to be back every month. So we just wanted something different, and then we started adding the bands in, and it's just kind of has grown, and we've been drawing well the last few shows, but the company itself has just kind of evolved as, and it's only a 7-month period or whatever, but it's really changed from where we started to where we are now.
So you named it Kaiju Attack Wrestling before having monster battles?
Yep, absolutely. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to Kaiju. Huge Pacific Rim fan, been a Godzilla fan since I was a kid. So I wanted something different. I wanted a totally different name. I didn't want to go with like, Championship Wrestling based out of wherever, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do a different weird name. So Kaiju Attack was what we went with. And of course, right away, people were like, you're ripping off Kaiju Big Battle. I was like, well, we're not doing the monsters. And we weren't going to do the monsters at all. And people still say that. They're like, oh, you're ripping them off. I'm like, we do one monster match a show, and it's 5 minutes long, and then it's over. We're not ripping them off or anything like that. It just gives something different. And they don't do 99% of the stuff we do, they don't do, and vice versa. So it's 2 different products, and it's totally different. But yeah, we weren't planning on monsters from the get-go.
And that's like saying too that if 2 companies have like wrestling in the title, that means they're the same thing. Like, that's not the same. Like, yeah. AIW and AAW are different companies, even though they have like similar things too. So that's like that. Totally
Right. And I know they're not supremely happy with us because we named our company Kaiju, but I mean, yeah, I don't know what to tell them. So.
Well, I like that your company. I've been to a lot of wrestling shows, both at like WWE and like local or smaller promotions, but just from the beginning of walking in, the vibe of Kaiju Attack was so different. Like from the punk bands opening and in the center, which I brought a bunch of new people because it was my birthday, and I have a friend who's really into punk bands, and she had a blast with that, and it kept people entertained. And having there was like a good mix of, you know, serious matches that were building storylines and silly matches with like lightsabers and kaiju monsters. And it really felt like a show with something for everybody.
Right. I don't really consider us a wrestling company per se, if that makes sense. Like people are like, oh, there's a wrestling show. I'm like, well, it's, you know, that is what we are, but it's not what we are. You know, there's like in any weekend, there's 10 groups that run in Chicago minimum. And, you know, you can basically sum up each show. You go to the show, you sit in a chair, you watch the matches, you go home, you know, and that's what every show is. So it's like, we're more of a variety show. I think variety show is probably more apt to what we're doing than an actual, you know, wrestling show. Yeah, it's heavy on wrestling, but it's got music, it's got the monsters, it has comedy. Like, it's just a bunch of weird things all going on at the same time.
I think it being in a theater space when you guys were at the Den Theater too really helped to add to the feel of it being a show, a theatrical experience that just happens to have wrestling in it, which was really cool.
Yeah, I love that venue. Like both our venues are just really cool and interesting. Wire is, you know, it's a straight on music venue. And it's you know, it's not like in the round seating like it is then. It's just, you know, it's a straight back like you were seeing at a concert. It's the same thing. You know, you're sitting watching a wrestling ring, and you know, you can get up right against the ring and pound on the mat and everything like that. So they're both really unique environments for wrestling, and something that really nobody else is doing. Which, you know, that was my whole thing. I didn't want to be like everybody else. I wanted to do something different, because why start another company and just do, you know, why be another freelance? Why be another Zalo? Why, you know, or, you know, all the other groups that are out there. I didn't want to do any of that stuff because why would those people come to my shows? Especially when, God, our roster is so old. But, you know, our guys are all talented, but, you know, it's you know, we have a lot of older guys on our show. They're really good, but it's just, it's, you know, it's not, you can go see younger guys and do that if you wanted to. So we wanted to offer something different, weird.
Along that same lines, you're saying that a lot of your roster is older, but you also talked about how you wanted to make it an environment where the women can compete in the same place. So going forward, do you have any goals for like inclusion, or how you're going to build your roster, or do you have like specific ideas for the kind of people you want to be adding onto your roster and onto your shows later?
Well, I mean, we're definitely going to see like going forward, like the guy side of my roster is pretty set for now. I've got a nice, like, I have my base guys who I've been working with, you know, forever, the guys that I really trust. That's the one thing about all the guys I book. I generally have to know you. I have to have wrestled with you, or I have to, you know, or there has to be a really good vouching process, because I try not to just book guys based on a whim. But like going forward,
like you said, there's so many other shows. Like there was a lot of people on your show that I had either never seen or never heard of, and now I have a whole new set of people that I'm interested in watching. So it's another draw, being like, I can really only see a couple of these guys at this place, and I want to go to that place to see these people.
Right, and that was the whole point. Like, and guys like, and people like, you know, because a lot of wrestling fans are young. You know, they don't remember that Eric Priest was working, you know, dark matches for WWF back in the day. That Chandler McClure worked dark matches for WWF. That Justin Cage has worked for TNA, Impact. Mike Matthews is going to work for Impact. Like all these guys have done these things through their career, but it's been a while. And I think, especially in the area, like in the area, it seems like memories are really short. So people are like, oh yeah, you know, like that happened like 10 years ago. I'm like, well, come look at Eric Priest. That dude's 43 and he's in better shape than 99% of the guys in the area. You know,
he's got a lot of good dance moves
too. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. He works on his Magic Mike stuff. But I mean, it's offering guys that, like, yeah, you can't see them everywhere else, you know, because they're not guys that are going to go out and work every weekend. I mean, and a lot of times, like, I've had guys from like freelance contact me. They're like, hey, do you have any openings? I'm like, I don't really. And it's no offense to them, because I think they're good wrestlers, but I'm like, if I'm going to start booking everybody that's at freelance, why are people from freelance going to come and see me? You know what I mean? Like, so it's offering a different roster and being different, because there's a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of the rosters look exactly the same. You see the same guys booked at yeah, that too. And just homogenation across the board. Everybody's, books the same 5-6 guys. Marche Rocket's awesome, but he's working everywhere in Chicago. So, he doesn't fit into my group, because I don't book necessarily, hey, you're the top guy in the area. I don't book based on that. I book on, you're a good wrestler. Nobody else can see you here. Come on in, So it's just, yeah, but going forward, like you were saying, like we're gonna add Holodead. She's coming in May at our big show, and she's gonna work with Lainey and Shotzi, which should be a really good women's match, really good match, not just women's match. But going forward, like we're looking at other women from the area. We want to try to definitely bring in different women, because a lot of the draw is good women wrestling, and I have no problem paying them what they ask for, because they're going to draw, and I want to try to bring in women from different areas where they're not getting the exposure out here. If there's girls that come in and they're on every Rise and every Shimmer show, they're great, and I'll still use them, but I want to try to find those little gems that not everybody's seeing everywhere.
Absolutely,
it's a good goal.
One thing that I really appreciated is the atmosphere of your show. We're talking about inclusivity and things like that, but your MC skits did a great job at not only being an MC, but kind of, not that there was a rowdy crowd, but like kind of like crowd controlling when some people would get a little offensive. How did you bring him in?
And that's all on it. That's all Adam's call. He had to do that or anything like that. But I made it pretty clear from the beginning that this is a progressive organization. Like, we're progressive, we're liberal. It doesn't mean all our wrestlers are, but what the tone we're going for is inclusivity. We don't want, I don't want to hear people calling women, the C word or anything like that. Or, I don't want to hear, calling people gay or anything like that. Like, I just don't want that. That's not what we're here to do. So, and it's really weird, like, because if you look at like our roster and our shows versus the other group that runs in Berwyn on a regular basis, like, they're completely different, and it's fine. They draw, conservative fans. We draw more liberal fans, and it's to each their own. It's what you like, but this is what I wanted to go for. Is everybody has an equal shot of winning a match. Doesn't mean if you're a man or a woman, and we just don't want to be assholes to each other. Yeah, heels are going to be assholes, but we don't want to be total assholes, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And it's a rarity, I feel like, in heel work. And I thought that your roster did a good job with that.
Yeah. And I've always been a guy, like, because I've accidentally made kids cry before as a heel. And, when some guys would be like, well, good, you did your job. And I'm like, yeah, maybe 30 years ago that was the mindset, but I want that kid to come back. So I'm going to go apologize to that kid, say, hey, I'm really a nice guy, give him a 8x10, whatever, get him to come back. Because I've been there where you scare a kid and they don't ever come back and they never want to come back. So, and we're not dealing with kids now, but it's along those lines. We're like, everybody knows what we're doing. It's not 30 years ago where people thought it was real. Everybody knows we're actors, we're performers. I'm not real big on kayfabe. I don't care if our babies and our heels, are kind of seen with each other. That doesn't really bother me anymore. It's just a different time, and it's kind of allowing each wrestler to grow, allowing people to meet, the wrestlers, heel or female, realize they're playing a role and get to know them, and you'll come back and see them if yeah, you want to see me get beat up because I'm a heel, but you also know I'm a decent guy and I'm not gonna, so you want to come see me either way. So
absolutely. Speaking about the future of Kaiju, you guys have a big show coming up on March 31st. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I absolutely would. We have March 31st, and you'll have to excuse me because I'm so tired because my newborn just came in last week. So I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting what show I'm on, and I actually this time I started putting out the matches, and I realized I hadn't booked everybody, or I had booked people, but forgot to put them in matches. So I'm like way off right now. But we're doing the Haters Ball. Is the name of the show, and it's at Wire in Berwyn. Tickets are on sale now. We are encouraging people, like, you don't have to do it, but we are encouraging people to dress up as a player hater from the Chappelle show, because that's the kind of vibe we're doing. That's the theme of our show. So we're hoping it's going to be ridiculous. I've already talked to some of the band members that are playing that show, and they're dressing up as haters and everything like that. We're hoping to get some wrestler participation, but we definitely want fans, come in and, do your hater thing and be, and just be ridiculous. But we're going forward, and we didn't really get a chance to launch it before the Star Wars show. But getting more fan participation, like, hey, it's a Star Wars show, dress up, bring Star Wars gear. Hey, it's a player hater show, do that. Our show in April is going to be Harry Potter themed, so bring your Harry Potter stuff. So
get my wand ready.
And that'll be back at the Den again in April. So. Oh,
so you are gonna go or attempt to go back and forth between Berwyn and the Den? Yeah.
That's the goal. It's a little harder to get the Den farther out, just because they're looking for groups to come in and be there, like, for
a couple weeks,
5-6 days in a row or longer or something like that. Which, we're only doing one show a month right now. So but they're a good second home for us. But we definitely want to come back and do more work with them. Those tickets, actually, that April show will go on sale today or tomorrow. So we'll have those on sale as well. And then our big show is going to be in May, which is going to be earlier start time for the music. We're going to have 5 bands. I can't tell you what the main event is, but it's crazy. And it's going to be
that's awesome.
It's going to be, well, it's a co-main event, because I've already announced the women's match, which is going to be the co-main event. But then the other match that we have is just insane. So that'll be announced in the next month or so. But we got a lot of good stuff coming up and a lot of fun stuff.
Excellent. Well, we'll definitely link to all of that stuff and keep our listeners posted, because I know we have a lot of Chicago area listeners, and I have to drag Erin to one because she was stupidly sick.
I know. I had a fever. It was a terrible misjustice.
But, I mean, she missed the death of Hidoyo Donoboroto. Like, I mean, he got decapitated in the ring, so he's dead now. I mean, you missed that.
Yeah, he had a hard time getting in the ring, and then he lost his head. It was a whole thing.
Yeah, that's his thing. He was poorly crafted by Japanese preschoolers. So I mean, I don't know what you expect.
I don't know. It's better than I could do.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We're gonna keep our fans posted. We'll definitely link to the shows. Do you want to throw out where people can find you guys on social media?
Yep, we are on Twitter. We are at what is it, Kaiju Wrestling? I can't hold on. Let me. We're at Kaiju Wrestling on Twitter, and Kaiju Attack Wrestling on Facebook, and Instagram is Kaiju Attack Wrestling as well. So I think the only one that's different is our Instagram, because our Twitter, we couldn't fit enough characters in there. So visit us. We are going to have new shirts for sale soon. We're going to have DVDs going up for sale in the next 2 weeks or so, and tons of new merch at each show. So, but yeah, come visit us. I just ask people to come give it a try, because it's not like any other show you go to.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. Well, thank you so much for being on. I know you have a newborn to get back to. We really appreciate you making time.
Yes,
I do. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We'll see you at the next show.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good one.
Bye.